without the vaccine?
Sure, over a period of time. Sure, with time it goes
And many
away.
deaths.
And you'll develop herd, like a herd mentality. It's going to be herd like a herd mentality. It's going to be herd like a herd mentality. It's going to be herd developed, and that's going to happen. That will all happen. But with the vaccine, I think it will go away very quickly.
Fucking idiot.
We're not doing it! Take off your mask! Take it off! Take it off! Take it off! We're not stopping it! Yeah, we got someone! Take it off!
Look at this kid! Look at the example!
Daniel, let me bring you in, because you've been busy fact-checking this town hall. What stood out to you?
There was just so much lying, Don. I'm going to go quickly here, so literally just stop me whenever you need to. He said again, Democrats won't protect people with pre-existing conditions. That is nonsense. As a voter told him, Democrats created those protections. He insisted he didn't praise China on the virus. He did so repeatedly. We know that. He claimed that nobody knew at the time he was praising China that seniors were especially susceptible to the virus. That was one of the first things we learned out of China and out of Italy and out of the U.S. He claimed that Biden said in March that the pandemic was, quote, totally over-exaggerated. I can find no evidence that Biden ever said that. He said that Winston Churchill was kind of like him, playing down stuff because he went on rooftops in London during the Nazi bombing and told people everything's going to be good. Churchill did not speak from the rooftops and did not say everything's going to be good. He warned of suffering and danger. Trump said that he fired James Mattis. Mattis resigned. He said that protesters took over 20% of Seattle. It was a 6-block area, nowhere close to 20%. He took credit again for sending in the National Guard in Minneapolis, saying that this happened after a week and a half of violence there. It was not even close to a week and a half. It was days, and the Democratic governor is the one who activated the Guard. He said he essentially repealed Obamacare by getting rid of the individual mandate. Not even close to true with the Medicaid expansion, pre-existing conditions protections, other stuff remains. He said the cupboards were empty of ventilators. His administration admits he inherited about 16,000 from Obama. He did his usual false boast about so-called bans on travel from China and Europe. They were not complete bans. He said stocks are owned by, quote, everybody. Just about half of Americans own stocks. He repeated his nonsense about testing causing cases. Testing merely reveals and helps fight cases. He said that Biden has agreed to a Bernie Sanders style socialized healthcare. He fought Sanders on that issue. He has very much not agreed to a Sanders style plan. And Don, this is a preliminary list. I have hours of fact checking tonight to do because there is even more than this. So this was just a fire hose of lying again from the president.
Do you need a drink of water?
Yeah, I think I'm like spitting on my camera here, so I apologize to the viewers.
It was like just what, about an hour and a half town hall, and
yeah, like every line or every other line was just false or misleading. It was crazy.
Okay, and then let's talk about what he said about crime. Listen to what the president said about crime tonight. Here it is.
If you're going to stop crime, we have to give the respect back to the police that they deserve. They've done a fantastic job in so many locations, but then bad things happen. Look at New York. New York was a very safe city. Rudy Giuliani did a fantastic job. The city was safe, and then all of a sudden we have a mayor. He starts cutting the police force, and crime is up 100%, 150%. I saw one form of crime up 300%.
What are the facts, Daniel?
So there have been spikes in certain kinds of crime in New York City this year, particularly shootings, where there's been a more than 100% increase, not a 300% increase, but substantial. The thing to remember, though, is that crime has fallen hugely since even Giuliani's final year. So Giuliani presided over a decrease. Then there's been a subsequent big decrease. So last year in 2019, there were fewer than half the murders under Bill de Blasio than there were in the last year of Giuliani. So yes, this year has been an increase, but the city is still way safer than it was in Giuliani's last year in 2001.
Well, there you go. Don't let facts get in the way of a good story.
All right, Crystal, what's on your radar?
Well, maybe not all that surprising given the utter collapse of trust in all of our institutions from government to media. For example, though, one small business owner, Tina Arthur, said that she was backing Trump because of what she called the cabal. I think if Biden wins, the world is over, basically. I would honestly try to leave the country, and if that wasn't an option, I would probably take my children and sit in the garage and turn my car on, and it would be over. Just a totally healthy attitude and a totally healthy democracy, folks. A certain subset of Trump supporters believes that Biden is part of a blood-drinking pedivore cabal, or at least that he and Kamala Harris are going to wage some sort of cultural revolution that ends with Antifa-led internment camps of cis white men. In other words, a sizable subset of Democrats and Republicans are locked in what they view as an absolutely existential struggle for survival. It's Flight 93 all the way around, where both camps believe that the country may well end if their side does not prevail. Now, obviously, these sentiments are held strongly enough and the atmosphere is tense enough that we have already seen some armed clashes of rival political gangs in American streets. Lucky for us, this incredibly fraught and combustible election will surely play out in an orderly and chaos-free manner. Just kidding. All signs point to a total election day disaster.
That's all, folks.